Now, the thing to remember is that, again, as I mentioned, the power of this is what are you going to do with all the content when you're finished? So it's really important for you to start upskilling and learning how to chop up videos and audio. Because if you're going to be using this stuff in your own journey to put on social media, chopping up some of your own podcast episodes, you're going to want to start getting used to how to chopping up videos and things like that. So Canva and iMovie and all these tools are going to be your best friends.
This is the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast for entrepreneurs and business owners looking for cool online tools, apps and strategies to make business easy online. My name is Nick Cree and I'm your host. Each episode features a guest expert demystifying the online universe, sharing inspirational ideas and providing tested real-world strategies to help you get the most of what's available online to grow your business today. Don't be a slave to your business, get your business working for you. Subscribe now and get some great content and ideas for you and your business today. All right, well, at this point in the evening, I'd like to just hand over to Darren Saul, who's our guest speaker for tonight. He's going to be talking to us about the power of podcasting for marketing content. And as you've seen, I am an avid podcast listener and produce content sort of online like this as well, audio content as well. So the thing about Darren is he's more than just a podcaster. He is a visionary strategist. He's on a mission to help businesses thrive in this AI tech and digital time. And podcasting is definitely a way to do it because there's so much you can do with some of these tools that are available now. You still have to speak, although you don't have to, but AI can really help with a lot of that there. The interesting story about Darren too is he wasn't always a podcaster. He wasn't born a podcaster. He had a photography business and he decided to just try podcasting as a bit of an experiment to see how it would work with his marketing. And it did work. Boy, did it work. So, and he's really never looked back since. He's been podcasting ever since. He helps businesses with podcasting as well too. Got a wealth of knowledge to share, very passionate about it, interviews some amazing people as well. And he's really here to share. He's very generous with what he shares. So make sure you do sort of ask him questions, pick his brains, because he's more than happy to give you everything that he knows. So let's welcome to the stage, Darren Saul.
Thank you. Thank you for that lovely intro, Nick. Much appreciated. And thanks for having me to the show. Everybody else, thanks for having me. Just to make sure everybody can hear me properly, just give me a thumbs up. Yep, we're good. So what I thought we'd do is instead of me giving you some boring 45-minute presentation, is I'm going to give you a little backstory into how I got into podcasting. I'll give you a little bit of a 5-10-minute intro into the power of podcasting these days. And then I want to hand it back to you to ask me particular questions about your particular business and your particular journey and what you might want to use podcasting for. Because I'd rather answer all those specific questions which are going to help everybody, and everybody's going to learn as we go through all those answers, rather than me just rambling off some stuff that you're not interested in. But basically, as Nick said, I've done many, many things. I actually have two businesses. I'm a corporate recruiter and I'm also a photographer. And about 5-6 years ago, I thought to myself, the old style of business development and marketing and cold calling and letter drops wasn't working as well as it did before. So I thought, what's a new way to start branding and marketing in the new world? And someone actually put me on to podcasting. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to give this a go. And so I started putting together two podcasts, one for my recruitment business and one for my photography business. And I'm now getting close to about 300 episodes in total when I combine those two. And the results that I've got from a marketing point of view, from a brand awareness point of view, from a content point of view, from a skills and a confidence point of view have been incredible. And I can honestly say that if you put in the time and the work to build a podcast and make it your own and dedicate and be consistent, it will definitely bring you rewards that you didn't even dream of. You can get asked for to be speaking at different events. You can do workshops about your journey. You can collaborate with all these incredible people. You can get your message out there. You can create content, and the list just goes on and on and on. And of course, you establish yourself as a thought leader in your field. Because if I'm researching a couple of service providers or a couple of product providers, and one of them has a podcast and one of them doesn't, who am I going to go with straight away? Probably the one with the podcast, because I can listen to them, I can get a sense of who they are, and it gives me so much more of a backstory as to just an unknown entity that is just showing up on a website. So a podcast is an incredible tool, and I want to kind of segue into the fact that these days, as Nick said, there's an incredible amount of listeners around the world, in particular in Australia, listening to podcasts. And the awareness that you get from having a podcast and just having listeners and having a listenership is already incredible. But there's one hidden benefit that a lot of people don't think of and they don't actually leverage properly. And that is the content creation aspect of it. Most people jump on a podcast, whether they have their own podcast or they get on podcast as a guest, and they do their 1 hour episode, and that's it. They might launch it once and nobody ever sees the light of day again. That is an incredible waste of opportunity. For me, a podcast is all about how you leverage it and how you promote it and repurpose it and repackage it. That is the magic of a podcast strategy. So for me, podcasting in this day and age gives you two things: brand awareness, but it gives you marketing content at an incredible scale. And everybody's dying for more marketing content. We can't find enough marketing content. And a podcast gives you marketing content in many, many forms: video, audio, written, graphic, screenshot, and whatever else you can think of putting together. So I'm really passionate about using a podcast for those two reasons. And if people don't want to spend the time to put their own podcast together, I totally understand. But at least if you don't have your own show, get on somebody else's show and make sure they give you the raw content and then utilize and leverage that raw content. Do not waste the opportunity of doing all the work, putting your best foot forward, and not doing anything with that material. But today I'm going to be talking about how to start your own podcast and what the benefits are of having your own show. But if you come at the end of the day and you say, you know what, that seems like too much work, at least get on other people's shows and do something with the content. So enough said about that. So I'm going to hand it over to the floor. And why don't we kick off with our first question? Anyone has a question, feel free to unmute yourselves, guys. Let's make this interactive. I'm not too worried about any background noise. So does anybody have anything that they particularly would like to ask me about their own journey? I think.
Yes.
Yes. How do I pronounce your name? Mish.
Hello, my name is Michelle Ripper.
Michelle.
How are you?
Michelle's jumping in the bit. Go for it, Michelle.
Yes. What if you're on somebody else's show,
Yep.
And you want to use the content within it, and they won't allow you to, or can they do that, or how do you handle that?
That's a good one. Well, for me, that's all about how do you set that up in the first place before you even start. If they say to you, I want you to come on my show, you could say, absolutely, no problem. I'm happy to take the time out from my busy schedule, give your audience my expertise, but in return, I want the raw content. And if they say no, that's your call. But for me, that's not really a fair exchange if they say no.
Right. And then if you are the host, and vice versa, you're the host.
Absolutely.
And you ask them to, is that the same? So you set it up beforehand? And
I do. So anybody that comes on my show, I've got a whole system around the material that I give them. I give them the thumbnail to promote the episode. I give them the raw footage and the processed footage. I give them a little video co-branded with their logo. So I'm going above and beyond to give them some content straight away that they can start using in their journey and not just walk away
Yep.
and say, all right, what do I do now?
Okay.
So that's the
That's
power of
great.
podcasting. It's all about the content.
Yeah. Wow.
Definitely ask for that. If they're not going to offer it to you, then say, you know what? That's not really a fair exchange. You're getting everything from me and I'm getting nothing back. Why am I going to waste my time?
Yeah. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
That's a great
Absolutely.
information. Thank you.
Pleasure. I'm sure there's some more from you, Michelle, so hang tight.
No
Um,
doubt.
Anybody else want to have any podcast questions in particular that they'd like to cover? Don't be shy.
Are you there, Darren?
I am.
Good day, Paul Kennedy here. Firstly,
Paul.
thank you for being here with us. I've never done a podcast myself or never hosted one, but I have appeared on a few. I'd like to do more, but I'm not really good around technology, and that's being gentle on myself. Could you talk us through a little bit about the equipment, the technology, and give us some tips on how to do it? Because I do think that's possibly of interest to lots of people here. We want to do it, but we just need somebody to hold our hand a little bit and help us through some of those technology bits and equipment that you might use.
Fantastic. And what I'll do at the end of this as well, I've got a little PowerPoint presentation. I'll convert it into a PDF and I'll pop it in the chat so you can all take it home. And you can actually, this is actually course material that I would normally give to people that do a course, but I'm going to give you the whole PDF so you can actually go and use it as a reference point as well.
Thank you. Great.
But I'll talk to you a bit about technology and about the process and the workflow of cutting up your footage into usable, leverageable snippets and all that kind of stuff. So first of all, let's go back to the beginning and talk about the tech. So there's three components really to, or I'll even go one step further. A podcast traditionally is an audio podcast. But these days, that world is merging very much so, and it's becoming more of a podcast vlogcast. It's become a video and audio form. And personally, I think it's very important to give people the option of either video or audio. Some people only want to consume audio because they do, as Nick said, they're at the gym, they're in the car, they're doing other things. That's fantastic, and I do the same. But some people will actually want to watch. So you must have a version in video form, ideally on YouTube, that will allow people to watch and get to know you and get a better sense of who you are through the video as well. So if you're going to start a podcast, I would highly recommend you doing it in video and audio form. And it's really easy. But one of them is going to be limiting. And the other thing is you're going to be limiting your content creation if you don't do that. Because you want these days to have video material and you want to have audio material. So if you're not going to do one, you're going to limit your content creation capability. So very, very important point to start off with. And then I'll continue and say the tech that you need for a podcast is really in three parts. You need a microphone, you need a camera, and you possibly need a bit of lighting, right? A microphone like this that I have in front of me, this is on a boom arm. You can buy this for about $150, really easy. And there's hundreds and hundreds of microphones, cheaper, more expensive, all sorts of different, more complicated ones, easier ones that just plug into your computer, USB mics, et cetera, et cetera. One of the great Australian brands is called Rode, R-O-D-E. They make fantastic mics of all costs. And there's a little bit of advice that I'd give anybody is to check out a couple of different websites or stores. One is called Store DJ, and the other one is called DJ City. And those two are masters in technology and audio visual equipment. And when I've bought loads of gear from any of them, I just ring them up, any store. The salesperson will help me on the phone call, tell me exactly what I need, and deliver it to my door. So you won't even have to go anywhere, and they'll deliver exactly what you need to your door, and it'll be very cost effective. But if you you want to go into a store and you want to test out a few things, take your computer. Absolutely, you can go in, you can check out a couple of mics, you can see what they sound like. There's lots of stores all around Australia and probably possibly in other countries as well. So check out Store DJ or DJ City, and they will look after you from a microphone point of view. But even if you get started, you don't even have to go that far. You can use the good old AirPods or a good old, good old fashioned earpiece with a little microphone coming down here, or whatever it is that you have, or a lapel mic or anything that you can think of. It doesn't have to be incredibly expensive. It just has to sound a bit better than the audio that comes out straight from your computer, because that's a little bit tinny and a bit echoey. And the thing to remember is obviously a microphone like this is what we call a stage mic. And this is always best to use closer to your mouth because it picks up just what's in front of you. But then we have studio mics that are a bit more sensitive, and they can be on your desk without even seeing them in the camera, but they will also pick up any noise, cars driving past, people in the background, etc., etc. So just to think about your environment where you're going to be podcasting from, and think about which mic might suit you better. But you can talk to the guys at any of those retail stores and they'll tell you a little bit about that stuff as well. So microphone, video, camera. The cameras that come out of your computer these days are fantastic. Still pretty good quality. And that's what I'm using right now. But if you want to grab a little external Logitech camera or any sort of external webcam, you can buy one for $100 and they're very good quality and very cost effective. But just remember to keep your camera above your eye view. So you can see how I've lifted up my laptop on a little stand so that I am below the camera. You don't want the camera looking up at you like that, because that creates a very unflattering perspective, and it people don't want to be looking up your nose. So it's much better to have a camera that's coming at you from above your eye length, and you look flattering, and it's just a much cleaner perspective as well. So that's a little photography trick as well, but that's why everybody always takes photos from above. So that's your video taken care of. And the only other thing you need to think about is lighting. And all you need to do for lighting these days, you can get from any of the sites like Kogan or Kmart. Just Google search ring lights, and you get a couple of little ring lights on either side or in front of you, one big one for like $20, and they will just light you up really evenly. Like if I turn my lights off, I'll be so dark, but I've got two little lights on the side of me lighting me up, and it gives me lovely lit perspective, and it also allows me to change the color temperature. I can go yellow, white, just like a globe. You can buy cool, warm, etc., etc. So those three things, all those things together might cost you $250, $300, and that's it. That's all you're ever going to need from a technology point of view. From a software point of view, if you're going to be recording your episodes, I would say, and I still do this to this day, I would say just use Zoom, because it's so easy to use. If you just press record on Zoom, you get an audio file and a video file all ready to go. And there you have your audio and video podcast done. If you want to get a bit more sophisticated, there's great products out there. One of them is called Riverside. That's a really nice product. And they've done a deal with Spotify, and they have now a video version in the platform and all sorts of tools to help you create intros and outros and all that kind of stuff, all in the platform. But some of those tools are actually going to be going away very soon. So if you're going to do anything, jump on really quickly. So Riverside is really great, but otherwise use Zoom. You got your audio file, you got your video file, and then you can already start throwing those into your platforms of choice. So you might ask, all right, what am I going to do with these things once I've got that footage? from a podcast housing point of view or an app point of view, I would recommend using Spotify for podcasters. That used to be called Anchor FM, but Spotify bought it, and it's a really great product. So Spotify for podcasters will be your housing facility for your audio podcast. And once you've set it up once, it will then distribute your podcast to Apple, to Google, all the other platforms that you might ever choose to use. So you just do it once, and then it's a one-stop shop for all your podcasting audio housing. From a video point of view, I highly recommend YouTube, because YouTube is the second biggest search engine. And so once your stuff is on YouTube, it can be found in 5-10 years. It never stops. And it's got some really great functionality and customizability, and it can really do a lot of great stuff with your YouTube channel, like create playlists as well. So you can have shows within shows and themes. And all that stuff is really easy. You just upload your files and off you go. Now, if you want to get a little bit more sophisticated with some of your technology in terms of editing and how you show up, you can use things like Canva and create a nice little Canva template. And then once that's created, you put that into YouTube rather than putting your straight raw video into YouTube. So you can use Canva to do things like that. You can also use Canva to create intros and outros, all sorts of things. Canva is doing some amazing things now, and it's free. And that's a lot of fun. And then if you're wanting to do a bit of editing or audio editing, if you've got a Mac, you can use GarageBand, or you can use, I would even recommend iMovie. That's probably a greatest piece of software to edit your video and audio all together at once. If you have Windows, there's loads of other software that's kind of similar to iMovie. Just Google it, and you can easily start chopping up and cutting up your podcast episodes and things like that. Now, the thing to remember is that, again, as I mentioned, the power of this is, what are you going to do with all the content when you're finished? So it's really important for you to start upskilling and learning how to chop up videos and audio. Because if you're going to be using this stuff in your own journey to put on social media, chopping up some of your own podcast episodes, you're going to want to start getting used to how to chopping up videos and things like that. So Canva and iMovie and all these tools are going to be your best friends. So don't shy away from playing around with that kind of stuff. There's lots of YouTube tutorials for free as well. There's all sorts of stuff online that can teach you, and it's really, really easy. It's not hard at all. The quicker you get involved in some of this digital technology, the better it's going to be for you later as well. So that deals with a bit of the tech in the back end. But now I'm going to answer your question, Paul, is just to talk a bit more about the actual workflow as well, and some other tools that might help you streamline the process. So one thing that I've done is, and it's important to know how to do this stuff so that later on you can always outsource it to somebody, but at least you know what you're doing and what it's meant to look like, and you know what people are charging you and all this kind of stuff. So I've just started outsourcing some of this stuff to some virtual assistants, that podcast virtual assistants, because I'm just getting too busy to produce all my episodes. And so very, very cost effectively, you can start using VAs to do your podcast production and your podcast chopping up and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't want to do that just yet, there's loads of great software. And one of them that's just going crazy at the moment is called Opus Pro, OPUS Pro. And this is an incredible piece of software that if I just upload either a YouTube link or a raw video to Opus Pro, in about 15 minutes, it will generate, using AI, 15 to 20 60-second clips from your video in entirety, with captions and a few emojis. And then you can go and edit them and choose the ones you like, and all that is free in the basic plan it's got a little watermark. But if you want to go to the next plan, it's about $9 a month. You can remove the watermark, and it's very, very, very good. So I've started using it, and it's phenomenal. So I highly recommend you checking that out. And that already starts taking care of all your content creation. So if you've just done a podcast with somebody and you take that video, you throw it into Opus Pro, now you're going to have 15 to 20 clips to throw on social media straight away without doing a thing. So highly recommend using that. And the other thing just to think about on that tangent is think about where you're going to promote your show. You're going to obviously put it on social media. That's a huge one. You got to put it in your newsletter. You might have it in your email signature. You might have it on your t-shirt, on your cap. You might create merchandise. You might have it on all sorts of other channels that you might have if you have some kind of a marketing material, or if it's a physical shop front or whatever. So there's so many different ways you can promote your podcast. And the thing is to remember to use the audience, whatever audience you have, whatever attention that you have, use it to promote your show, because that's how you're going to get more and more eyeballs and ears to your podcast, which is going to in turn lead to a stronger podcast, which is going to lead to better marketing and more episodes, which is going to lead to more content. Right. So podcasting is a whole marketing strategy. When you really dive in, you can do nothing else but have a podcast marketing strategy, and it will feed everything else from a content marketing point of view that you could ever want. So if you just dedicate yourself to either having your own show or getting on a podcast a week, taking the footage, this will feed your whole marketing strategy for the next 6 months. So I hope I've answered that reasonably well. If everybody's any other questions on that, Paul?
Darren, that was just excellent. Thank you so much. In fact, you've almost got me so excited, especially when you mentioned merchandise. I kind of thought, well, I'm almost ready to take on Taylor Swift.
There you go.
But look, from my point of view, I've been sitting there watching other people do podcasts and thinking, goodness, I should get into this. But there was just that uncertainty about taking the jump. So thank you so much. You've been a big help there. That was excellent. I love the idea you mentioned about the PDF. So look, thank you. That would be really great.
Yep, I'll definitely give you that.
Good
so you
man,
can use that
thank
as a
you.
bit of a reference material, and it's pretty much, it covers, I call it my 3 Ps of podcasting: preparation, production, promotion. So you can
Anyway, such a good answer. Thank you so much.
check those out. Great. Any other questions, guys? Please jump ahead, because I want to get into stuff that's going to be pertinent to you.
Okay, I've got another question.
Yeah, go for
Sponsors. Do you recommend approaching people to be sponsors? How many? How to approach? I've seen some where they just talk, and say, and this show is brought to you by.
Yep.
So yeah,
that's a really good one. Sponsors can come in many, many different forms. So you could have a sponsor that is just a brand sponsor, which they just might have a logo or a name and never say a thing. You might just have that on your podcast, brought to you by this and this. You might have a sponsor in terms of marketing material and merchandising and stuff like that. It might be logos and other things. Or you might have sponsors that actually speak or have a little ad on your podcast themselves. Or you might have a sponsor, as you mentioned, that you actually advertise for them. You might say, this show is brought to you by Smith's Crisps. We love Smith's Crisps for this reason, blah, blah, blah. And you can talk about Smith's Crisps. So the sponsors can be in many, many different forms. Personally, I don't love listening to an episode where there's a lot of promotion, because it starts to get a bit annoying. I don't mind a little, 2-minute segment here and there. But if it starts to get overboard, it just starts to lose me. And all I do is speed over it anyway. I don't listen to it. Just like a TV commercial.
No, I totally agree with that. Yeah. But, you know, like I think Joe Rogan just kind of says one, you know, at the beginning or in the middle or, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Like
yeah.
being subtle is great. I don't mind that. You might, as you're starting your podcast, you might want to actually approach an entity or a person and say, look, I'm about to go on this journey. Why don't we partner with me and we'll do it together and we'll have co-production and co-promotion, and they might actually help you fund it as well. So then you, in return for some of the plugs that you're going to do for them, you're going to get some time and revenue. So, you know, you can also approach people straight off the bat, or you can approach people later on down the track, or they'll approach you when you have enough of an audience, you know. And a lot of these websites now, like Spotify for podcasters and Podbean and all those kind of things, will actually have little facilities in them where you can actually put your hand up and people can find you if they want to advertise on your podcast. They won't pay a lot of money, you know, it might be $5-10 or whatever here and there. But if they see an alignment, they'll actually sponsor your podcast and look, they're looking for people to advertise on. So a lot of those platforms are already building that community and facility into the podcast apps so they can find you.
Right, okay. So thank you very much, Darren. Would that be, so every time that the podcast is played, it's $5, or is that $5 and that's it? So it's just so I understand, because I have no idea about
that's something that I haven't really done myself, so I'm not an expert, but I would say that it's a small fee every time that is played.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
But then again, there'd be a million different versions and a million different models that they could put together for sponsorship.
Sure.
And then again, from a monetization point of view, you know, just to touch on that part again with Paul about merchandising, you know, if you're having a podcast and it's, you know, you make it fun and engaging and it's doing really well and you have building a nice community like Nick's doing right now, you could start creating your own caps, your own T-shirts, your own mugs, your own sticky notepads, and you can start finding ways to distribute that, which will in turn build a market for your podcast and your brand. So there's no reason why you can't start thinking outside the box and doing all that kind of stuff. The other thing to think about as well is you might have a podcast that's going to give people 90 or 80% free material and all your insight and content, but you might hold back 10 or 20% of your material or your knowledge and say, all right, if you guys want that extra 10 or 20%, this is where you have to pay. So you can do that behind a paid wall. It might be a private group. It might be a kind of community. It might be some other platform that you do that with. So you don't have to give people everything for free all the time. You can actually give them 80, 90%, and the extra little bit they can pay for. People are very happy to do that as long as you're giving them value, and it's giving them so much value, 80, 90%, they're very happy to pay for that 10 or 20% that they might want. So that's the key to this whole strategy when you think about it. It's really just giving people value and not selling and promoting your own product. So I think Nick mentioned this right at the beginning. He said that podcasting is very indirect and very passive. And that's what I love about it. It's not, when you look at social media these days, and let's face it, social media is where the attention is. And that's where you can do the most marketing for your business. Everybody's just talking at you. And there's just one ad, another after another. And nobody's really giving you a lot of value or a lot of attention. And why I love podcasts is that, particularly a podcast with a guest, is that you're actually going to be talking to somebody about something and you're going to have a very interesting discussion and you're going to invite your audience in. They're going to be curious. They're going to want to learn more rather than seeing you talk at them and pushing them away. So you can see the psychology behind this. It's very, very subtle, but it's very, very powerful. So podcasting is all about inclusivity, and a lot of promotion is about repelling people and being aggressive. So that's why podcasts work so well, and that's why the stats are outstanding, why so many people are listening to podcasts. I want to learn about something, I'll find a podcast about that. And if I like that
Yeah.
person and trust that person, then I'll go and research what that person does and buy their products or services. It's a long game. It's not,
Mm.
the old days are over. You don't just buy things unless they're really cheap,
Mm.
you know, low barrier to entry products or services. Nobody will
Mm.
buy things just off the bat. You need to have 15, 20 times of exposure, 20 touch points before they trust you, before they learn about what you do, who you are, and what your philosophy is, before they might buy from you. So this is where podcasting is so powerful.
Fabulous. And I love the long game. I think it really allows you to really unfold and strategize in a long way for the long term. I love that. So thank you very much for that.
And yeah, if you're gonna think about doing 10 episodes and then giving up, don't even bother.
Mm.
Like, you got to be
No.
in this for the long haul, even if it's once a month, but do it consistently. Take all your content from it, use it as marketing material, but do it for years, because it's not going to work unless you really dedicate the time to it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Darren, I had a
Thank you.
question. Is
Sure.
there a length of time for a podcast that seems to resonate best with viewers?
Yeah, great question.
Great question.
I've seen podcasts that are a minute to podcasts that go for 3 hours. But I would say 30 to
I
40
don't want
minutes.
to do a 3-hour one.
No, exactly. I'll need to go to the toilet 4 times in that time either. But I would say that anywhere between 30 and 40 minutes is the sweet spot. Some people will actually even say 20 minutes. So I'd say 20 to 40 minutes, depending on the conversation. If it's going to be just you talking, 15, 20 minutes is max. If you're going to have a guest, 30 to 40 minutes can be really nice, because you're not really going to get into a proper discussion in 15 minutes. Right. So it depends on the show. So I do all my podcast episodes with guests. So I go for about 30, 40 minutes, 45 minutes. That's kind of my average. But I listen to a lot of podcasters that are just solo podcasters. And after 15, 20 minutes, they wrap it up and that's it. So perfect.
Yep.
Or you can do a bit of both. You don't have to have a rule as to only do one. You can do all. You can have a show about, you could have a show
My
on your
rule
own
of
on
thumb,
Monday.
Darren, is
Go for it.
I work out how long does it take me to cook a meal, and so that time cooking a meal is the ideal length for a podcast.
There you go. Yep. Perfect. Yep. Exactly. So if you got a microwave dinner, you'll find the 1 minute one. If you're cooking a roast, you might go for 45 minutes.
Good one.
Any other questions, guys? I'm sure
Yes,
there's
thank you,
plenty.
Darren.
Yeah.
You've probably covered most of the things, but when you're establishing your brand as a podcaster or even as a podcaster guest, is it best to stick to one subject, like an expert in your field, until you get known for a variety of things that you can speak about?
Yeah, I would like, if I'll break it down into 2 parts. My podcast, for example, is a bit unique because I like podcasting in itself, and I'm building a whole business and market offering around podcasting per se. My show is very broad, but most people are not going to do that. Most people are going to have a podcast as a lead into their business, which means you don't want to be too broad. You want to be specific to what you're an expert in. So ideally, if you're an expert in 1 or 2 things, you only talk about 1 or 2 things. You know, you're not going to go talk about 15 things, because then you're just going to get a little bit, people are going to get a bit lost. And you're not going to get any momentum, because people are going to get to know you. They want to get to know you as the something person, or 2 or 3 things max. You don't want to have 15 things, because it's just going to be too confusing.
And some people do that, and you end up sort of shutting down to that, not listening to it all. It's too much information.
Yeah, like there's a few different schools of thought on that, but I would say keep it. You don't have to be only one thing, but keep it to 2 or 3 at least. Don't do too many. And that's whether you're a guest or whether you're a host, because you want to give people context, and you want people to keep asking you back, and other people asking you back, because they keep seeing you talk about the same thing. You become a subject matter expert in a couple of areas. If you do a bit of everything,
Okay.
you're not really a subject matter expert in anything. Like I'm I'm a host and I talk about lots of different things and I learn, but I'm a subject matter expert in podcasting, but I'm not a subject matter expert in every conversation that I have. My guest is. So yeah, if you're using it as a lead generation for a business, then keep it simple, keep it narrow.
Many thanks. Thanks, Warren. Darren, sorry.
Easy, no worries. What about you guys? Gordon, Jenny, Enza, Ray? I'm going to pick on you guys. I know there's burning questions. You're just not asking them.
Just give me a break. I don't even know what I don't know yet.
I mean, how many episodes have you done so far, Gordon?
I haven't. I've done a strategy session with them.
Okay.
And the first episode was supposed to be tomorrow.
Great.
And it's been put back for a week. So it's not going to happen until the next week. So
Okay, fair enough.
it will depend how good the interviewer is as to how much he can draw out of me and stop me talking off track.
Nice,
So,
nice.
You know,
And-
but I think
I'm
he's
sure it's not crap.
I'm sure it's going to be
Yeah.
great.
I've known him for a year, so I've watched him do a few others for a year and thought, well, he seems to be proficient at what he does.
Good.
And I think really the host of a podcaster, their real skill is drawing information out of their guest.
Yep.
That's what's got to happen. But yeah, so
That's a really good point. And I'm going to actually touch on that for a second because I know Michaud mentioned that a bit earlier, is that she wanted to know a little bit more about the subtleties of hosting a show. And I can't stress that enough. What you mentioned just now, Gordon, is that a host of a show is a facilitator. The host of a show is the conduit. It's to help the guest feel at ease and to draw out all the magic from the guest. It's not to dominate the show. So when I'm hosting a show, I hardly say anything. I just ask a few questions. I might just add a few connecting phrases and filler words and just keep the show on track. But I don't go and off on tangents and go tell a story about what happened to me yesterday and go for 15 minutes because that's a total waste of my guest's time. So if your guest is coming on, they're the expert. You want to draw as much as you can out of them and you don't want to be overshadowing them. So that's a really, really important point as a host is you are a facilitator and a drawer out of information, and you got to remember to use that correctly. Yep.
he's actually spent over an hour pulling out points that he can ask me about so that I can elaborate on that.
Yep, fantastic.
So I think he can do a good job. We'll find out.
Absolutely. And that's really good that he's done that because he's prepared you as well. That's the other thing. I'm very big on preparation. If I have a guest coming to my show, I'll give them a little framework and a few questions that to be prepared for. I'll still have a very organic conversation, but I've always got a few questions that I can use and come back to for the main flow of the show. Because if you don't give people a bit of preparation, they might be nervous, they're not prepared, and then the show goes off in a few different tangents and can be a bit of a train wreck. So the more prepared everybody is, the better. But Jenny, any questions?
No, not questions. I think I can sort of see, like, just you being a facilitator and having the guests on. And I think I think you just really working out yourself which way you want to go. Like, yeah. Because I'm sitting here listening to you and I'm going, don't know about facilitating. Maybe a guest at the beginning. I don't know. I think it'd be something that I'd have to practice.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, a great way to
Especially-
do
Yeah,
a great way to do that would be to get on lots of people's podcasts
yeah,
and start getting more confident and start getting your rhythm. And then after a while, you'll love it so much you say, you know what, I'm going to have my own show now.
yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a great idea. I know lots of people that do that. I think there was a question in the chat that just popped up about guests. I'm not sure. Was there anything there, Nick? No. Someone put something in
Yeah.
about guests.
That was from Enza there. What type of guests do you interview?
Okay, myself, I call my show a variety show. So I've got loads of playlists and different segments, and I talk about finance, entrepreneurship, business, marketing, health sciences, book launches, film, photography, mortgage broking, real estate, anything you could think of. So it's very, very, very broad. And I kind of like that and enjoy that. But as I mentioned earlier, if you've got to start your own show that's going to lead to your business, that's probably not a good thing to do. It's because I'm trying to build a business around podcasting itself that it works.
Yep. Good idea.
Yeah, but again, you can collaborate. You can, and the other thing is, how do people ask me how to find guests? What's the best way to find guests? First of all, everybody knows so many great people, family and friends and colleagues. You might also belong to different networking groups like this one. Look at there's 15 guests, 16 guests right here. There might be loads of other guests, potential guests in your network. You might want to join some other groups just for guests. You can also put up all sorts of posts on social media and say, I'm about to launch this podcast. Anyone who's an expertise in this area, hit me up. I'd love to collaborate with you on a show. I'm booking all my shows for the next 6 months. So you can actually ask people. You can send out a newsletter. You can do all sorts of things. Guests will come from everywhere. And even if you just tell people you're a podcaster, you wouldn't believe how many people say, really, what's your podcast about? Can I come on the show? Just by saying you're a podcaster, everybody we're already booking you as a guest. Everybody wants to be on a podcast. So there's no end to finding guests, and you just got to then have a good system for how you manage the workflow, how you prepare the episodes, how you give them the framework, how you give them the content once it's recorded, how you promote it, and all that kind of stuff. That becomes a whole system that you put in place. Just like the system Nick's got down pat for this show. There's a whole pre, during, and post-production system that is running like a machine. And that's how you got to be with your podcast.
Darren, how do you control someone that might go off topic and start to run off at the mouth and bring up or use dialogue that's not really fitting for what you're doing? How do you push them off the chair, or have you got
easy
or sign language, or because it's direct, isn't it, to the public? There's no censoring, is there?
No, so I was just about to say, you can have a podcast that's live, or you can have a podcast that's recorded.
Okay.
So I generally like to record them so I can edit them.
Perfect.
So if someone does go off a bit crazy, I can just say, all right, no problem. Let's get back to the point, and I'll just cut all that out.
Great, thanks.
Or if it is live, just find the little window and just grab them really quickly and say, thanks, Jenny, or thanks, John. But I kind of that's all fantastic. We'll get to that a bit later on. But I want to kind of bring you back to talking about this particular topic for today, and just take them away and bring them back. So
thank you.
Don't let them get away with just running off.
And they do.
You have to just bring them back and say, all right, that's enough now.
Awesome. Thank you.
It's easy to do. What about you, Ray? Any questions?
No, I was just soaking up the information because it was totally new to me, and I'd heard about them. I didn't know what they did. I figured, well, there could be another avenue down here of learning, and also from business as well, is to put your name out there. So I found it all pretty interesting, and good questions by the rest of the team from there. But it's just another medium, I don't mean it flippantly, but it's another medium that we can use,
Indeed, absolutely it is. It's another medium, and the other thing is as well, you might belong to a local club, a local community. You can jump on their podcast, or start a podcast for them. You can do a podcast using your iPhone, just walking along with a guest in the park, or sitting at a park bench. You don't even have to have all the technology and all the gear. You could do this in a million different forms. Think outside the box. Doesn't have to be
outside the box.
Yeah, exactly. Think outside the box. It doesn't have to do what everybody else is doing. The whole point is just to get a show together, that is going to build you some kind of a brand name and give you some opportunities for creating content. That's basically it. Right? Really, really simple. So I hope that's kind of helped you guys. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to convert this PDF, this PowerPoint to a PDF so I can give it to you. And then I'll pop that in the chat for you as well.
While you're doing that, Darren, if anyone would like to know what Darren's podcast is, it's called Suspended Animation. Is that right?
Yeah, it's called. What I'll do is I'll pop that in the chat for you guys as well.
Yeah.
I've got a all sorts of stuff, and I've got a little prize for you guys as well. But I'll pop this in the chat for you. It's just called Playing with Perspective by Suspended Animation. So I'll just get that up and running. I'll put my YouTube channel in there for you guys just to keep it simple. But you can search for that on any other. We look at the successful other platform as well. So there it is there. So there's my podcast. Here is the PDF. Just paste that. There it is. Paste this in. For some reason it's not showing up yet. Hold on. There it is.
Nothing like doing it live for the tech to challenge you, is it? Always happens to me.
It's giving me my computer doesn't want to. Very strange. What I'll try and do it another way. Wonder if I can drag that in.
Nick, I heard that a new AI product was launched, I think today or yesterday, and it sort of interacts and sees and, really becomes like a human. And they thought the human was a block of wood.
Oh my God. Just a quick question to the tech guys. I think I'm not accessed as an administrator, so that's why I can't bring in a.
Okay. Let's see if we can.
Maybe just make me a co-host or something, and then I can.
It won't let you upload it. Is that the story?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, let's see if we can make you a co-host, and that way there, you should be able to upload it. Here we go.
Let's see if that's
all sorts of security controls on Zoom these days.
Oh, it still says restricted by your admin account. So what I'll do, what I can do is I can send it to you, Nick, if you want me to do that. And
yeah, you can send it to me, and then we can then I can sort of get that up.
Serve that to everybody.
And we can include it in the post-event email that goes out as well too. Yeah. So that you'll have a link for it coming through by email.
That'd be better for me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll do that. So we'll have it there, and we'll include it in the in that email. So watch out for the email, and then you'll be able to download it from there.
Sounds good. And do you want me to give everybody you're going to draw their lucky prize?
Well, we've got the lucky prize. So there's a couple of things here. So do you want to tell us what the door prize is, and then we'll draw it out.
So I've just launched, with the help of another colleague of mine, a recorded podcast course in 4 parts that goes through everything that I mentioned today. And I've got a launch offer of $99 Australian. And this will give you templates, resources, frameworks. It'll give you videos on how to produce episodes, how to cut up video in iMovie, how to promote your show, how to prepare your everything. So we've got an incredible course. So I'm going to give that one away to the Lucky Door Prize winner. And I'll pop the website in the chat here for anybody who might want to go and have a look at that. And for a limited time, we've got a little purchase launch offer of $99, which is about a third of the price of what it's normally going to be. So,
excellent. So that is hot off the press, and we've got our special way of drawing it. So everybody's name is in the wheel of names here. And remember, do not disappear right now, because if you disappear, guaranteed you're going to win, and then we'll just redraw it again. So stick around. So let's spin that wheel of names and find out who our lucky winner is. There we go. It's away. So a virtual drum roll on the desk in front of you. And our lucky winner is Diana Davies.
There we go. Look at that. Well done.
So let's have a look. Are you still here, Diana? Let's have a look. Well, she's going to kick herself if she's not here.
No.
I think. Oh, it looks like she's disappeared, eh? There we go. She often watches on Facebook, but she managed to get here tonight. Well, those are the rules, aren't they? So let's, anyone that knows Diana, let her know that she could have won. And let's hit the wheel and draw it again. So second chance draw. And lucky winner is May Rose. Oh, there we go. May Rose, are you still here? Here we go. I can see her there. I wonder if she's disappeared to make a cup of tea. Excellent. All right. Well, May Rose, you are our lucky winner tonight.
Congratulations.
There she is.
So what I'll do for you, May Rose, I'm just going to put my email in the chat.
Yeah.
Just email me, and then I will organize that course for you on my side as well.
That will be awesome. Thank you.
Fabulous.
So that's my email, Darren, is suspendanimation.com.au. There you go. Perfect. So well done. Congratulations. That's a lot of value in there. We've got about 5-6 hours worth of content.
At the time.
Plenty of time.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, I look forward to tuning into your show, May Rose, when it's published.
Certainly will. You're my first guest.
Oh, there we go. Happy to. Happy
guinea pig, should I say.
Yeah, yes. I'm always happy to be there.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Darren.
Pleasure.
Well, that is our show tonight. Now, contact details. Someone's asking how to get in touch with you. We have put into chat all of Darren's social media contact details, so you can grab him on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, or you've now got his email address. So you can always feel free to email him there. And just remember that course that he's just released is in chat as well too. So if you want to check that out, just go and click on that link in chat. And of course, all of the links for the online tools, they're all in chat as well too. So probably a good time to save that chat now by clicking those 3 little dots on the top right-hand side of the chat or down the bottom. And that brings us to a conclusion. So let's put our hands together. Let's thank Darren for an incredible session tonight. Really helpful, and it really has demystified some of the ins and outs of podcasting. And hopefully you get to see how you can start to use some of this in your content mix.
Definitely. And
so look forward to
everybody.
Look forward to sort of listening to some of the podcasts. And of course, if there are things in this episode that you'd like to see again or you missed something, then it will be up on the Smashco YouTube channel tomorrow afternoon. So if you're not a subscriber there, the link is in chat. If you're just going, click on the link, go through to YouTube, subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit that little bell button, and then you'll get a notification as soon as the replay is up there ready. If you hear someone say the phrase, I'm interested in podcasting, I'd like to be a guest on a podcast or anything to do with podcasting, feel free to share that link that is on YouTube as well too. And of course, if you do want to find out more about it, Darren is more than happy to chat with you. So feel free to contact him in any of the means that are in chat. And remember to save the chat. If you haven't saved the chat, save the chat. And when you do save it, there's a little trick to saving the chat as well too. It'll tell you where the location is that it saved it to. So like the downloads folder, sometimes people lose that. So you can click on that, it'll open it up straight away so that you know exactly where it is. All right, well, thanks again, Darren, for your time tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys. Really enjoyed it.
And thanks everyone for
Fantastic.
coming along. And look forward to seeing you all again next week. Have a good night. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast. You can also find me on social media and online. Just search for Business Owners Smashing It Online and Nick Cree, spelled Nikree, all one word. If you like this and want to hear more, subscribe now. Until next time, don't be a slave to your business. Get your business working for you.